Mr. Campbell, do you have any views on how a small island nation like Malta ought to brand itself to attract more foreign direct investment?
Well, I think what I've learned from doing a bit of research before coming here is that Malta does have an extraordinary success story to tell about foreign direct investment. And I think it goes without saying that it's much harder to communicate a brand if you're smaller. That's inevitable. But I think that in terms of the fundamentals that are there are so strong that I think actually there is all that Malta needs to communicate a really powerful, positive message. And what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow is the need for that to be done by government and business understanding what those messages are. And I think it's all there. It's just a question of bringing it together and communicating it in a strong, coherent way.
As far as FDI is concerned, do you think that Malta, with its limited resources, should just target Europe, or should it look beyond its borders as well?
I don't think you can just stick with the EU, and I don't think the government is just sticking with the EU, because and what's more, because Malta is where it is geographically, I think it's got a real opportunity to become more of a hub, and so I think that globalisation has given Malta opportunities which it's taking. And I know there was a really passionate debate about whether Malta should be in the European Union in the first place. That debate's been settled, and there's no doubt at all I think Malta gains hugely from that, and so does the EU.
You are credited with being the mastermind behind New Labour and several spin-offs in other countries. Looking back, do you think that this concept has worked, and what is its future?
New Labour? I think New Labour was a huge success. You've got to remember that the Labour Party prior to Tony Blair had never won 2 full successive terms, and under Tony's leadership we won 3, and New Labour was a very, very big part of that. The idea, and I think the Prime Minister here and the Labour Party here have taken on a lot of what we did in terms of understanding that to build the strong society that progressive people want to build, you have to develop the economy. To understand that to win power, you do have to reach out to people who've not voted for you before. We didn't get the landslide we got in '97. The Labour Party here didn't get the landslide that it got without getting people in who'd not voted before, and that's fundamental to what progressive parties have to do. And so I think in terms of the next elections, very, very difficult to call, really difficult to call in the UK. But I think that at the moment, the Labour Party is ahead in the polls. That doesn't always mean that you're going to win, but I think that provided the Labour Party understands that most people are living their lives in the centre of British politics, then there's every chance that Labour can win again.
You have suffered from depression, you have written about it, and you're campaigning to raise awareness on it, even on your trip in Malta. Why is it so important for you?
Because I think that mental health and mental illness is the last great taboo, and I think that people just aren't open enough about it. I've had problems of mental breakdown, I have continuing problems with depression, but it doesn't stop me living a very full and active and involved life. And I think that a lot of people who have mental health problems, they do feel stigmatised, they do feel there's a taboo. And I also think, I mean, here we are in the Chamber of Commerce, I think that businesses who rule people out because of a history of mental health are possibly cutting themselves off from some of the brightest minds that they could find. So what I'm trying to do, involved with a campaign called Time to Change in the UK, is to try to get to a position where people feel they can be as open about their mental health as they are about their physical health. I think that's good for the people. I've never regretted being open. I think it's good for communities. And the most important thing is that, I mean, stigma, it just is bad. It's a bad thing. Having a taboo around where people feel they cannot talk about something that is such a big part of their life it just makes it worse. So I think the more that we can break down the stigma, break down the taboo, the better that is for the individuals, but also the better that is for communities and societies.